I used to think I had all the time in the world, that someday I'd get around to doing the things that truly mattered. But then reality hit me hard. Time doesn't stop, it doesn't wait, and it certainly doesn't give second chances. I realized that every second spent on trivialities, procrastination, or mindless distractions was a second I'd never get back. And that's when I turned to Stoicism. The Stoics, ancient as they may be, had profound insights on how to stop wasting time and start living fully. They didn't just talk about philosophy in abstract terms. They offered practical, actionable wisdom that can transform the way you live every single day. These lessons can help you break free from the habits that drain your time and energy and redirect them towards what truly matters. If you're tired of feeling like your days slip through your fingers, if you want to stop putting off the things that matter most, and if you're ready to take control of your time and your life, then stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have 9 Stoic lessons that will not only open your eyes, but empower you to start living a life of purpose and intention. Now, let's dive into the first lesson. 1. Learn the art of saying no. For a long time, I had trouble saying no to people, whether it was agreeing to extra work projects, social events, or favors. I felt obligated to always be available. But over time, I realized this habit was one of the biggest ways I wasted my time. The more I said yes, the less time I had for things that truly mattered to me. I wasn't focused on what aligned with my goals or values. Instead, I was constantly putting out fires for others. The Stoics taught that our time is one of our most precious resources. Seneca said it best. It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Saying yes to everything stretched me thin, leaving me feeling overwhelmed and unfulfilled. The hardest part was realizing that in my effort to please everyone, I was neglecting myself. When I started practicing the art of saying no, it felt uncomfortable at first. I was worried about disappointing people or missing out. But here's what I discovered. By saying no to distractions and unnecessary obligations, I was saying yes to what really matters. I had more time to focus on my passions, my health, and my relationships. I stopped letting other people's priorities dictate how I spent my days. Learning to say no is about setting boundaries and protecting your time. It's about recognizing that every yes comes with an opportunity cost. When I started being more selective, I found that I could give my full attention to the things I did say yes to. I was more present, more focused, and ultimately more fulfilled. If you're someone who struggles to say no, start small. Practice turning down one invitation or commitment that doesn't align with your goals. It might feel awkward at first, but the long-term rewards are worth it. Every no gives you back a little piece of your life, allowing you to spend your time on what truly matters. 2. Stop chasing external validation. There was a time when I cared deeply about what others thought of me. I would spend hours, sometimes days, obsessing over how I was perceived, whether people liked me, whether I was successful in their eyes. I craved approval, constantly seeking validation from the outside world. It wasn't until I studied Stoicism that I realized how much time I was wasting. One of the key teachings of Stoicism is that we should not depend on external opinions for our sense of self-worth. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When I understood this, everything shifted. I realized that no matter how hard I tried, I could never control how others saw me. Their opinions, their judgments, were completely outside of my control. So I stopped chasing external validation. I stopped trying to impress people who didn't matter, and I started focusing on what I could control: my actions, my character, my values. Instead of looking outward for approval, I began to look inward for validation. Was I living according to my principles? Was I doing the right thing, even when no one was watching? Those became the questions I asked myself. This shift wasn't easy. At first, it felt strange to stop caring about the approval of others. But over time, I realized how liberating it was. I was no longer wasting energy trying to shape the opinions of people who had no real impact on my life. I was free to live authentically, according to my own values and standards. And the irony is, the less I cared about what others thought, the more respected I became. If you're stuck in the cycle of seeking external validation, know this: you'll never truly be free until you let it go. Focus on your own values and actions. When you live with integrity, the opinions of others become irrelevant. 3. Embrace the present moment. For years, I lived in either the past or the future, rarely appreciating the present. I would replay old mistakes in my head or worry endlessly about what was coming next. It wasn't until I started practicing Stoicism that I realized how much time I was wasting by not being fully present. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When I truly began to understand this, it hit me hard. Every moment I spent worrying about the future or regretting the past was a moment lost forever. The present is all we truly have, and I was missing it. Once I embraced the present moment, everything changed. I became more aware of my surroundings, more connected to the people around me, and more in tune with myself. I stopped letting my mind wander to things I couldn't change or control. Instead, I focused on what I could do right now, in this moment, to live a better life. This practice of being present also helped me become more productive. When my mind wasn't distracted by the past or the future, I could fully focus on the task at hand. I stopped procrastinating, stopped wasting time worrying about things I couldn't control. Instead, I took action, grounded in the present moment. If you find yourself caught in the trap of constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, remember this: the present is where life happens. By embracing the now, you can stop wasting time and start truly living. 4. Prioritize what's truly important. I used to spend a lot of my time on things that didn't really matter. It's easy to get caught up in the small, trivial tasks that feel urgent but have little impact on your overall life. I would fill my days with busy work, thinking I was being productive, but at the end of the day, I felt no closer to achieving my real goals. Then I stumbled across a piece of advice from Marcus Aurelius that changed everything. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This simple yet powerful statement made me realize I was wasting time on things that weren't truly important. I wasn't focusing on what aligned with my values or my long-term vision. So I made a change. I started to ruthlessly prioritize. Every day I asked myself, what is the most important thing I need to do today? What task will move me closer to my goals? What will bring me real fulfillment? At first, it was hard to let go of the little things. I was used to checking off small tasks to feel accomplished, but when I shifted my focus to the bigger picture, everything fell into place. By focusing on what was truly important, I not only got more done, but I also felt more aligned with my purpose. This isn't just about being productive, it's about being purposeful. When you prioritize what's truly important, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You start living with intention, making choices that reflect your values and move you toward your highest potential. If you struggle with feeling like you're always busy but never making progress, try this. Start each day by identifying your top priority. What's the one thing that, if you accomplish it, will make the biggest difference? Focus on that and let everything else fall into place. 5. Practice mindful consumption. I never realized how much time I was wasting by mindlessly consuming content. Whether it was scrolling through social media, binge-watching TV shows, or reading articles that didn't add value to my life, I was filling my mind with noise. It wasn't until I came across the Stoic idea of mindful consumption that I started to rethink how I spent my time. The Stoics believed that we should be intentional with what we allow into our minds. Seneca wrote, "Time will pass, and in the future you will have regrets, saying, 'I wasted that day,' or 'I wasted that hour in vain things.'" This hit home for me. I realized that by filling my days with meaningless content, I wasn't just wasting time, I was wasting opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become better. So, I made a change. I started to be more selective about what I consumed. I asked myself, is this adding value to my life? Is this helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer was no, I cut it out. I replaced mindless scrolling with reading books that challenged me. I swapped passive entertainment for activities that helped me grow, whether it was listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, or simply spending time reflecting on my thoughts. Practicing mindful consumption has transformed my life. Not only do I feel like I have more time, but I also feel more in control of my mind. I'm no longer a passive participant, but an active creator of my own life. I'm intentional with what I consume, and as a result, I'm more focused, more productive, and more fulfilled. If you find yourself losing hours to mindless distractions, it's time to take back control. Be selective about what you allow into your mind. Make sure it aligns with your values and contributes to your growth. Your time is too precious to waste on things that don't matter. 6. Let go of what you can't control. For years, I wasted so much time and energy worrying about things that were completely outside of my control. I would stress over outcomes that I had no influence over, whether it was how people reacted to me, whether a project would be successful, or even the weather. It wasn't until I studied Stoicism that I realized how futile this was. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." This simple yet profound truth opened my eyes. I realized that by focusing on things outside of my control, I was not only wasting time, but also creating unnecessary stress and anxiety in my life. So, I started to practice letting go. I focused only on what I could control, my actions, my thoughts, my responses. Everything else, I learned to release it. If I couldn't influence it, then it wasn't worth my energy. This shift was life-changing. I stopped getting caught up in what-ifs and started living more in the present. I became more productive because I wasn't wasting time worrying about things I couldn't change. Letting go of what you can't control doesn't mean being passive. It means being proactive about the things you can control and accepting that everything else is beyond your reach. Once you master this mindset, you free yourself from the mental clutter that holds you back. You can focus your energy on what truly matters and make progress in areas where you have real influence. If you find yourself stressed or anxious about things outside of your control, remember this: you are wasting precious time and energy. Focus on what's within your power. Let go of the rest. You'll find a new sense of freedom and clarity that will allow you to live with more purpose and intention. 7. Set intentional daily routines. One of the most powerful shifts I made in my life was setting an intentional daily routine. Before this change, my days were chaotic, with no clear direction or purpose. I used to think that being busy equated to being productive, but I was wrong. I often felt overwhelmed, juggling countless tasks, but never feeling like I accomplished anything meaningful. My time was slipping through my fingers. That's when I discovered the Stoic practice of living with intention. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of starting each day with purpose. In his meditations, he would reflect on his duties, contemplate the nature of life, and prepare himself mentally for whatever challenges might come. Inspired by this practice, I decided to design a routine that aligned with my core values and goals. I began my day with reflection, just as the Stoics recommended. I spent a few minutes in the morning meditating or journaling about what I wanted to achieve that day, both personally and professionally. This gave me clarity. I didn't just think about what tasks I needed to accomplish, but also about the deeper purpose behind those tasks. Why were they important to me? How would they bring me closer to my long-term goals? By answering these questions, I transformed my mornings into a time of self-awareness and intention. Next, I structured my day with focused work blocks and clear boundaries. I made time for exercise, reading, and other activities that nourished my mind and body. These weren't just fillers, they were essential elements that helped me maintain my energy, focus, and resilience throughout the day. By prioritizing what truly mattered, I stopped wasting time on tasks that didn't align with my goals. Setting an intentional routine wasn't just about productivity, it was about reclaiming control over my life. I stopped reacting to distractions and started proactively shaping my day according to what was important to me. This routine gave me a sense of control and calm that I had never experienced before. If you feel like your days are running you rather than the other way around, I encourage you to take a step back and design an intentional routine. It doesn't have to be complex. Start by dedicating a few minutes each morning to reflect on your goals and values. Gradually incorporate activities that align with your priorities and be disciplined in sticking to your schedule. Over time, you'll find that your days become more purposeful, productive, and aligned with your true self. 8. Understand the power of small wins. One of the greatest lessons I learned from Stoicism is the value of small wins. I used to believe that success had to come in big, impressive strides. I thought that unless I was achieving something monumental, I wasn't making any real progress. This mindset led to frustration and burnout, because I was constantly chasing something that felt out of reach. But the Stoics taught me a different approach, an approach that transformed how I view progress and productivity. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often spoke about the importance of gradual improvement. He emphasized that real change comes not from sudden, massive efforts, but from consistent, small actions taken every day. This was a game changer for me. I realized that I had been dismissing small accomplishments, thinking they didn't matter. But in reality, they were the building blocks of success. I began applying this lesson to my daily life. Instead of overwhelming myself with massive to-do lists or impossible goals, I started focusing on small, manageable tasks that would move me closer to my larger objectives. For example, if I wanted to write a book, I didn't try to write an entire chapter in one sitting. I started with a single paragraph each day. If I wanted to improve my fitness, I didn't aim for a 2-hour workout. I began with 10 minutes of exercise each morning. What I discovered was that these small wins created momentum. Each time I completed a task, no matter how small, it boosted my confidence and motivation. I felt a sense of accomplishment that propelled me forward. This momentum, over time, led to bigger achievements than I ever thought possible. The Stoics believed that the path to greatness is not in the grand gestures, but in the consistent effort we put in day after day. It's about persistence and resilience. By focusing on small wins, I became more patient with myself and more committed to the long game. I stopped comparing myself to others or feeling frustrated when I wasn't achieving big things quickly. I realized that success is a marathon, not a sprint. If you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed by the enormity of your goals, try shifting your focus to small wins. Break down your big goals into smaller, actionable steps. Celebrate each small victory, no matter how insignificant it may seem. These wins will not only keep you motivated, but will also build the momentum you need to achieve your larger aspirations. 9. Eliminate the need for perfection. For a long time, I was trapped in the cycle of perfectionism. I thought that everything I did had to be flawless before I could consider it a success. Whether it was a work project, a personal goal, or even a hobby, I would spend countless hours trying to perfect every detail. But in the process, I found myself paralyzed by indecision, procrastinating, and ultimately wasting time. The pursuit of perfection was robbing me of progress. The Stoics taught me a valuable lesson. Perfection is an illusion. In fact, Epictetus famously said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear foolish and stupid." This was a radical shift in my thinking. Instead of obsessing over getting everything just right, I began to embrace the idea that imperfection is part of the process. I realized that waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect product often meant waiting forever. I started to let go of the idea that everything needed to be flawless before I could move forward. Whether it was submitting a project, launching a new idea, or even engaging in a conversation, I stopped letting the fear of imperfection hold me back. The Stoics reminded me that what matters most is taking action and learning from the process, not waiting for everything to be perfect. By eliminating the need for perfection, I freed myself from procrastination and indecision. I became more willing to take risks, make mistakes, and learn along the way. I no longer let fear or the pursuit of an unattainable ideal stop me from moving forward. Instead, I embraced the mindset that done is better than perfect, and progress is better than paralysis. If you find yourself stuck in the same cycle of perfectionism, it's time to let go. Understand that no one, not even the most successful people, achieves perfection. The key is to take action, even when things are messy or incomplete. You'll learn and improve along the way. As the Stoics would say, true growth comes from embracing the process, not obsessing over the outcome.